Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf and to, yes, another book haul. And I called it the spring book haul because it is obviously April, so it is an April book haul, technically. But I bought the books in March. But I didn't want to confuse myself and everybody else by calling it a March book haul, and who cares? And this is babble-de-goo, so let's just talk about the books. Shall we? How about that? Anyway, the first one is a used copy, a bit battered here. I had to glue that. But anyway, the first one is Patricia Highsmith, Those Who Walk Away, published in 1967. And this is the Virago classic or modern classic edition. And if you follow my channel for any length of time, you probably know that I have this not quite official project that I want to read Patricia Highsmith backlist, not in chronological order or anything, but just, slowly making my way through her work, because I read most of her books a long time ago in German. So I never read them in English, and I really like the Virago design for those books. So whenever I see one, I buy another copy of another book, and this one is your typical Patricia Highsmith conflict, cat and mouse hunt. You have a husband whose wife committed suicide in Venice, of course, or somewhere else in Italy, I think. But anyway, never mind. The police and everybody else considers it a suicide, but the wife's father thinks the husband killed her. So he shoots the husband and leaves him for dead. And then the two men engage in this cat and mouse, which sounds, if you're familiar with Patricia Highsmith, it sounds like your typical Highsmith crime. So I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'm trying to ignore the battered front. Yes, the next one is a memoir. It's a little bit of a glare, I'm sorry. Melissa Valentine, The Names of All the Flowers. And this was published not that long ago. Let me check. 2020, yeah, so 3 years ago. Again, this is part of a book that I bought for a project because it's feminist press. And you know that I, from this year on, but certainly this year, I want to focus on indie presses, and I have two main focuses. One is the feminist press, and the other is Virago Press. And I know Virago is technically not an independent press anymore because they got, they sold to Hachette, but they're both mainly publishing women. Virago publishes the occasional man now and again, but they have this, feminist catalog, so to speak. So this is a memoir. Here is our author. I'm not good at that. I think, yes. So this is Melissa Valentine. She is has a black father and a white mother, or the other way around. A white Quaker father and a black Southern mother. And this is her memoir of growing up in Oakland in the 1990s, hardship in the family and beyond. It sounded interesting. I love memoirs, feminist press. That's why I bought it. Then I have two that are for the project. Both are from Virago Press, so they both qualify for that project, but it's also for the 1001 Women I Want to Read Before I Die project. And the first one is Dorothy West, The Wedding. Also in a relatively new edition from Virago Press, and the book was first published in 1995, and I think it's either the last of one of Dorothy West's last books. She was a part of the Harlem Renaissance, born in the beginning of the 20th century, and this is what it says about a wedding. In August 1953, the Coles family gathers for the wedding of one of the daughters, and Shelby could have picked any black man, but she picked a white jazz musician. And then story ensues from there. Speaking of my 1001 women that I have to read before I die, if you are a real hardcore follower of my channel, you will have noticed that in March I didn't post a video. That is because I fell a little bit off the wagon with regards to this project in March. I read one or two books, and I added two that I already read, but I didn't really engage in the project because I was so preoccupied with reading the 16 books from the long list from the Women's Prize for Fiction. I've only 3 left. So in April, I will definitely pick up this project again, and this one is for the April list, and will film a video, I think, next week. And so is the next one. Again, Virago, but also 1001 Women that I have to read before I die. And it's an Indian author, Atiya Hossain, Sunlit on a Broken Column. This book was published beginning of the 60s. Yeah, 1961. It's considered a modern classic of Indian literature. Atiya Hossain was born in India, but she moved to Britain in the 40s, where she became a broadcaster. But I'm still considering this a Global South book, which is another project to read more literature, not from the West, but from the Global South. So not from the Global North, but from the Global South. This kind of sort of, half qualifies, like I said, because the author lived in Britain and wrote this in Britain. So, but what is it about, you ask? It's about Layla, the orphaned daughter of a distinguished Muslim family, and she is brought to her grandfather's household, who keep purda, which means the women are sequestered in the house, can't go out or hardly, and they are not allowed to see anybody besides the other women. And at 15, she moves to the home of her liberal uncle in Lucknow. That's, by the way, where the author comes from, Lucknow in India. So it's a coming-of-age story of this young woman. There are plenty books by Atiya Hossain. I just picked this one as a try for the 1001 Women. But if I really, really don't like it, I will remove this from the list and just read another one. Anyway, so this I bought. Yeah, this I bought. I don't know why I said this, because I bought all the books. It's a book haul. Sorry for the break. I had a telephone call and needed to stop the video and restart. Anyway, moving on. The next book I already read. It's nonfiction, Rose George, 9 Pints. I read this on script and liked it so much that I looked for a used copy, and I did find this one. It's in pristine condition, not like the Patricia Highsmith, but this one is a good copy. And if you're thinking pints and maybe beer, but why is it red? It is about blood, because we have 9 pints of blood in our body. And Rose George writes nonfiction. This is our author, by the way. She wrote The Big Necessity, Adventures in the World of Human Waste, which I haven't read, but this will certainly not be my last Rose George, because I really, really liked it. That's why I needed to have my own copy. If you are squeamish with, blood, don't worry, it's not gross, but it gives a good overview over the history of what we know about blood. Where is it made? What are blood types? Can you transfuse blood, transport it from one person to another? The whole thing about bloodletting, which was a very common and popular form of treatment until not that long ago. But it's not science heavy, first of all, and it's also looking at the economics of blood, like what is done once you have a donor giving blood, how is it processed, how is it distributed, who gets it, who doesn't, what is the ratio behind, should we pay for blood? Some countries pay their donors, but also modern developments into maybe having synthetic blood developed. So it looks at a broad range of issues and topics, all having to do with blood. And it's very engagingly written, often funny. And like I said, not overly science heavy. So if you are interested at all to learn more about, this huge thing that we have in our body, these 9 pints, read this. 9 pints. The next one is also nonfiction, just released. The Patriarchs, How Man Came to Rule by Angela Saini. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I should have listened to it again, because I listened to it and then it didn't stick in my ear. But anyway, this is our author. She is a science writer or nonfiction. Yeah, obviously she writes nonfiction. I read previous books by her that I really like. Superior and Inferior, that's all about feminism. And this one was just published a couple of weeks ago. And I'm reading this with Kathleen, from Kathleen Ann, who came back to BookTube and then disappeared, but now promised me just this morning that she will return and will stick with it. I really, really hope so, because I love her, but I also love her channel. Anyway, this is just what it says on the tin. How did we end up in patriarchy? I'm very much looking forward to this one. As you know, Kathleen and I, but also myself individually, I'm trying to read feminist literature. That means feminist fiction, but also a nonfiction dealing with feminism, history of feminism, feminist theories, and this fits perfectly. And the last one I want to talk to you about is also nonfiction, essay collection, and it was a cover by, or more precisely, a title by. It's this tiny little book, A Horse at Night by Amina Kane, and it's a book on writing. And it was published last year. I have never, Amina Kane is an author, also of fiction. I have never read her. If I like this, I will read her, but I'm always collecting books or on writing. So in this, that's why I said it was a cover by, but more a title by. I have no idea what she is going to tell me about writing, but I'm curious to find out. So these are the 7 books that I bought towards the end of March. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, I'm looking forward to your comments. I'm a little bit behind again, but I hope that I will be able to catch up next week. So leave a comment and I will answer. You know that I will answer at some point, but sometimes it takes me a little while. Anyway, looking forward to your comments. That's what I wanted to say, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.